This episode of the New Medical Nomads podcast is brought to you by Nomadicare. Now, personally, I love Nomadicare. I've used Nomadicare, and I recommend the company to all new travelers. What Nomadicare does is it takes the fear out of getting set up with a bad recruiter, which is the biggest fear that you have jumping into this journey. So they sit down, they interview recruiters, they vet them, get them on a list, and then provide them to you as a free service, as a free recruiter matchmaking service in order to get you started on your journey. Now, usually you only get 2 recruiters going through Nomadicare, but being a listener of the show, you can get 3. So this is how it's going to work. You go to nomadicare.com/Dylan. You will get set up with 3 recruiters to be on your dream team, as well as a guide to get you started on your journey.
Dr. Kristen Schulz, where are we at in the world right now?
I'm in Wisconsin currently.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the New Medical Nomads podcast. My name is Dylan Callier, I am your host, and today I'm with Dr. Kristen Schulz. We are at a PT conference event in Tampa Bay near Clearwater Beach, and we are going to be talking about Kristen's story. But Kristen, can you tell us a little bit about your journey with Travel PT, where you've been, where you're at right now, and kind of where you're heading?
Sure, yeah, of course. So, I am, a little over 4 years out of school right now. And I originally started traveling right out of school as a new grad. And I did that for a total of about a year and a half. And then I had a permanent job for 2 years. And now I have gone back to travel for a little bit right now. So okay. I can go into more details every assignment if you want, but that's the gist of it.
That's the gist of it. So the reason I wanted to bring you on and talk is that, so you were a traveler,
yep.
And then you went permanent,
yep.
And then for whatever reason you're now back into travel.
Yep.
Can you talk about that, kind of the feelings you had going back to permanent, and then why did you make the decision to come back to traveling?
Yeah. Ultimately, the reason I went back into traveling, I did love it, but it had some other reasons as far as I'm currently in the process of building some online businesses, some that I've been working on, some that I'm in the process of building up right now. And to be honest, one of the main reasons is it kind of gave me some more flexibility in my schedule to be able to do that, in the sense of, I love flexibility in general. I think a lot of us travelers do, right? So in the sense of I don't have to work, 365, not that we work that many days, but every month of the year, I can take some time off to build up my business and, but still make a similar income to working full-time, but only probably, so the income I was making, I can basically travel, half the year and make about the same. So
got it.
Part of it. There's lots of moving factors with that. That's the quick reason, I guess.
Quick reason. Yeah, for sure. So you're basically leveraging travel in order to create the life that you want.
Exactly.
I feel like a lot of travelers end up being entrepreneurs like this because they want to create the life that they want to live.
Yep.
And once you get a taste, once you're out there, exploring different locations and traveling and doing this cool thing that, at least when I was going through school, I never really knew about until much later. Or even when I first got into this whole PT thing, or other people getting into the healthcare, nursing, sonography, whatever you're into, they probably weren't thinking about this great adventure that kind of comes along with it that you find out about.
Yep. No, exactly. Yep.
Very good. What are some things that you have learned along the way? So the second time around, what do you know now that you wished you would have known was first?
There's so many. I guess first thing that comes to mind, when I first started traveling, I remember, and I did learn this quickly, but I remember, I was told you can work with multiple recruiters. I think most of us travelers know this by now, but at first I was I had no clue. I thought I was that was wrong, or, I was scared to do that. So that was one thing, I guess, when I first started out. What else? I guess you just kind of learn how to jump right into things quicker and just get going and know what to expect. That you're going to be, sometimes it depends, get going right into the job right away. But I have been lucky to have good mentorship and good assignments in the past when I was a new grad. There are opportunities out there where they will let you not have to jump right in. So
Right. Okay. So you started as a new grad, straight out of school.
Yep.
What was some of the advice that you had coming out of school, or maybe things that were said to you, and then once you got into it, were those true or were those false?
Yeah, no, so I think, like a lot of us have heard, there's going to be people that advise against it because, they're going to say you're not going to get the mentorship, and I've had, some people, I don't know that I had a ton of people, but, saying that, you should find a good job for a couple of years, maybe where you get really good mentorship before you go into travel. But I felt I was really lucky to have a year-long internship in school where I felt like I had been working because I was working, for how many months, seeing a full caseload. So I felt confident to go out into the working world and do that. But definitely that whole that you should be, work a few months or a few years before you go in, to do travel. What other things? I guess that's the big one. And I guess I just didn't listen. Like, I just did what I wanted to do. I mean, I've always, even in PT school, I was always intrigued by travel PT, mainly for the reason of just traveling and seeing the world. I've always wanted to travel and see the world. So, like, I went to, like, at CSM, they have all the booths, and, I go and, well, I ended up getting my name on a lot of calls from that when I was really younger. But yeah, that was, but I'm glad I did it. I really didn't have any, in my opinion, and maybe I just got lucky, but I had no concerns as far as I didn't feel unprepared. It was a negative thing to do that right off the bat, because I think it's easy you get in your routine of things, you get into somewhere, if you do take a permanent job, that you're less likely to do travel, I think. So I was glad I did it.
Yeah. If you had another new grad coming to you asking, I don't know if this is the right choice for me, should I do travel? They're kind of on the fence. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for every person, right? That's like the case for every patient we see, right, too. But it really depends on, you got to look at what your long-term goals are, what's most important to you. If you really do feel like you need the mentorship, maybe you do take a permanent job for a little bit. If you, let's see, like if you aren't scared to just go travel and be on your own and deal with, having to ramp up quicker in your caseload and stuff, then go do it. If you gotta be able to get outside your comfort zone, I think, for sure, to go and do travel right away. But yeah, was there another, sorry, specific, did I go off topic? I tend to do that.
That's all right. No, I was just going to follow up with, a lot of new grads are worried about that mentorship coming out, and now I'm seeing programs out there through travel agencies that allow you to have some type of virtual mentorship kind of built in within their system. So it's being addressed. Maybe you're not getting that hands-on, but like you said, most curriculums have almost a full year of clinical rotations where you do get that hands-on. So I feel like that concern isn't as big, and maybe for somebody who maybe struggled on the clinical side, this would not be the best option for them. But comparing like what I got at my permanent job versus what I got for the traveling jobs that I've been on, it was almost the same amount of mentorship with the amount of time that was available to be given to me. There's a follow-up point to that.
Well, I was just gonna say, you just saying that like brought thoughts back into even when I was doing travel and then went back to perm and then went back to travel, in the sense of, like in general, as far as mentorship goes, I don't feel like mentorship in a lot of places is much different if you do travel or if you get into, just a perm job. Like what I've heard, from other people that have done perm, they're like, I'm not getting the mentorship, I'm not getting, like, it is kind of hard, to be honest, to find that mentorship even in a permanent job. So, to me, why not do travel then? It's kind of, it depends, obviously, if you get that right company, but it is kind of similar, travel job or not travel job. So, so depending on what setting and where you're at.
And to follow that up, I've also been on contracts where there was a new permanent employee coming in, and they had the same ramp-up time that I did as a traveler. And so I'm finding that it's not that contrasting between some jobs. Now there are, residencies out there, fellowships out there, things that you can look for if you, have that availability to try and find those specific jobs that you want. But if you're not like specifically looking for that, I feel like a lot of graduates are kind of falling in those positions where it could have been a travel position.
Exactly. No, exactly.
And I always got a little bit frustrated through some of the individuals I was talking to through school who said the same thing. That ultimately I didn't travel as, my first position just because I had other opportunities that came up, not because I was against traveling as a new grad, but I was suggested not to, and I was given this whole strew of horror stories. And then that same individual would promote a company that was basically an exercise mill for PTs where there was a burnout of 7 months and they were seeing 30 patients a day. And so it just, the stigma out there, I'm really trying to squash, that it's not a bad option, and I think it's one of the better options for new grads for a lot of different reasons: personal development, professional development, financial, getting to explore and see new things, see new clinics. Is it harder? Yes. It's probably not for the 9 to 5 that are just wanting to go home and stay comfortable. But I think it is one of the better options out there for new grad PTs.
No, definitely. And you get to see a variety of settings if you want, if that's what you choose. You can see different settings. I had a lot of ortho experience, which is like what I ultimately love to do. But at the same time, I did want the other experiences. I'm doing home health right now, but I wanted the other experiences to see the whole spectrum of the healthcare. And I didn't get every setting in my clinicals, just impossible basically to get every single setting. So I kind of thought it'd be helpful for that reason. And I think if you are a person that wants to see a couple other settings, and even if you don't want to do it, maybe it's just helpful to know that setting. It's a way that you can do that, and what better time to do it when you're still, as life goes on, you have more responsibilities. So, and then pay off those loans.
Absolutely. If not now, when?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're graduating, and that was my big. I was getting the itch. I was worried the longer I stayed stagnant at the permanent job, that it might end up be where I ended up.
Yep.
So I was very aware of that. And I made sure to set a hard timeline of when I was going to start the travel in order to get that experience that I wanted. When you went back to permanent work, how was that? How was that experience? How was that emotionally? You just went on all these travels and now you're confined to this one area. Was it okay? Is that what you wanted, or was there some conflict?
No, it was definitely it's the right decision. I think this time, being older, I guess I do feel older, but it has been a little harder, because I've only had 2 assignments so far, so not a lot of change, but even I was just in South Carolina, now I'm in Wisconsin, the change there, just getting back into changing quickly and meeting new people, and I've traveled a lot in my life too, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I'm starting to get the urge of maybe putting roots out somewhere, but that's probably it'll be a short phase, but for a little bit. But it was different, I guess, just in the sense of you are older, so I guess where am I going with that? When I first started off, you're just excited to see different places. But still, it was fine. I don't know where I'm going. Sorry.
That's awesome. Coming back to travel, and you can be as open with this as you want. I know you recently had some rough experiences with contract. Could you kind of walk through what you experienced and kind of how you handled it?
Yeah, definitely. I wish I would have wrote this down before this, but I think I will remember. I had a few points to share on it. So I recently had my first contract back after my permanent job, and the night before I started my my new contract, I came down with some vertigo, which that's a whole other story in itself, which I couldn't even diagnose myself at first what was causing it. 5 weeks into it, finally figured out it was seasonal allergies. I was really allergic to the pollen down in South Carolina, which was crazy. And I've never had that before for anything. It was the worst experience of my life. That sounds dramatic, and I know there's worse things out there, but it was really hard to function, and I was having a pretty hard time, just getting through the day. And I've never had that, and I was in a new city where I had to get new healthcare. I didn't know the doctors. There's just a lot of factors. I didn't know people. So I feel like hopefully I'll remember all my points, but I would like to share, and I have wanted to, even post in some travel PT groups, because I think I did learn a few things from that experience, because, yeah, just a lot of things. So let's see. We'll start with, I think, well, one thing is to keep in mind with traveling and where you're going, I guess, that you could have a health experience, I guess, and like if it did make me think, and maybe would I honestly do this? I don't know, but maybe if you're in a new area and you know it's a small town, it might be helpful to establish just getting for a primary appointment. And this is probably extreme, maybe. When I was down there, I had problems getting in to see someone besides urgent care. And so I kind of was like, man, it might be helpful in the future to just have one primary, visit with someone. So I did have a way to get in with someone if something like that came up again. Yeah. I know that, like, honestly, I haven't done that in Wisconsin yet, to be honest, but I did have that thought because that kind of became a problem. What else? There's a lot there. I should have wrote it down. I think making sure that when whatever contract you take, making sure you're really clear on your communication with whoever you're working for through all methods, even if you think you're being clear exactly, because I think that became a problem. I don't think it was really hard because they didn't know how sick I was, I think. So making sure you are able to clearly communicate like what you need, I guess, from them. And then from another standpoint, and this is personal, I don't mind sharing, like, so the contract started late. My recent contract started late. My South Carolina license didn't get approved right away, and then it got pushed back another week. And then it ultimately started later than I had in my plan. So financially, I put myself a little bit in a bad spot. Like I had gone without work for longer than expected. So I would say, I mean, this is a lesson for any part of life. Like make sure that you always have that extra funds for something like that would happen. Because to be honest, with that position, had I had like a good security blanket, I probably honestly, like, because it was due to the fall and everything, I probably would have got out of that contract sooner, to be honest. So for a number of reasons outside of just the health issues, but so. And
so kind of to recap, so you were having vertigo to where you were still showing up, but it was making it entirely difficult to do your home health job. Driving places, like super dizzy. I can imagine that's scary because you're trying to drive.
Probably like, I mean, I was fine, I could see, but I was like, oh, this is making it worse. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So were you having troubles kind of keeping up with the productivity of the job?
Yes.
And then was it the communication between the employer that could have been better, or was it the communication between the travel recruiter, or maybe a mixture of both?
Yeah, I feel like I try to be a very understanding person and probably give more benefit of the doubt to other people. As far as communication goes, I look back and I look on times I probably could have communicated better, but ultimately, yes, it was kind of poor communication all around. Okay. I would definitely say. And one thing I was just thinking, I know it's kind of off topic when you're talking. One thing I would share too, and this is just general and for any traveling assignment that you take. When you take an interview, I would definitely say if the interview is awkward, if it's weird, if you don't think you really, if you don't necessarily vibe with who is going to be your future employer, that think twice that you do have an option and that they are going to be the people that you're going to communicate with every day. This particular one, I did, like, every interview has been awesome that I've had for Travel PT. I'm like, I could see myself really enjoying this. This particular one, it was fine, but I didn't necessarily vibe, but I was like, I really wanted to go to this location, and I want to be close to friends, and I personally find home health a good position to do for travel. It's easy to walk into and do your own routine, and so I was like, I really wanted it, and I didn't pay attention to some, my gut feeling, I guess, and I would just, recommend, that for anyone, to avoid, because it was not the most pleasant experience. I didn't have the most understanding employer with this health issue going on, which is unfortunate, but it can happen. So I guess as much as you can be like, it's just 13 weeks, it's still 13 weeks of your career that you're going to have to communicate with this person. And like, yeah, I just think of any of my other bosses, if this would have happened with, it would have went smoothly, and unfortunately it wasn't a very smooth experience. So, but I have these lessons, and I hope it helps someone out there with something. I don't know. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
So, did they end up kind of pulling the contract early because of everything going on?
Yes, they did. Yep. So about a week early, which was actually, I mean, it was great because it was, I actually had at one point wanted to quit, I guess, or pull out early, but I was encouraged to keep going, to finish the contract, that it was good. We were good on both terms, and they ultimately did, which at that point, like, I was meeting productivity and I was able to keep up because I was having a hard time keeping up, and I've never had that problem before. You know, it's just like I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, anyways. So yeah, it was oh my gosh, 2 months of just glad that part of my life is done. So,
tough situation too, but you seem to come out on top of it, looking at it more from like a educational experience type of view versus just like, just really dogging on yourself.
Exactly.
That whole thing. And that's so tough. And I know there are options out there for places to get healthcare, or, the physicians online to where you can get medication prescribed. But in a case like that, you kind of need a in-person visit to do all the clears and checks, make sure like neurosigns are okay. And
exactly. I think that's the big thing. The urgent care doctor didn't do anything like clearing out anything major. She was just like, follow my finger, okay, you're good, and blood pressure is good, okay, you're done. I'm like, you didn't make me feel better.
Got it. But that's one of the challenges that kind of come with being in a new town. It's unfortunate it started right when you got to the new town, too, not like 2 weeks later, or
not
anything
even
like that.
Just didn't know a soul in that city. Like, it was just interesting experience, but I made it through. It makes me feel stronger, I guess.
So polar opposite of that experience, what has been your favorite travel story?
Favorite travel story? And like seeing a patient or anything, I guess. Just anything. Oh goodness. Shoot, I don't know. Let's see if I have one that pops out. I've had so many different contracts. I'm thinking of all of them. I mean, hopefully I'll think of another thing, but this is my first thought that came to mind. I'm back in my home state, which is Wisconsin, and my very first patient, their house is a bar. Like, it was part of a bar, and wow. It's not like a crazy experience, but it's just like funny coming back to your home state. You're like, oh, good old Wisconsin. Yep. First patient's right in a bar, feel at home. So, so my grandparents owned a bar and stuff, so it's just kind of part of the culture there.
Was it a dive bar?
It's just like a mom and pop bar in a small little town kind of a deal, and they're like, cool. All right.
Living at a bar. What's something that you travel with that you don't think you could travel without?
Okay. I have one thing, and it's not necessarily something I can travel without, but it just came to my mind. At my last travel contract, someone there used a portable table, a fold-up table for home health, and I never used that before, and I actually thought it was a super awesome idea. So instead of typing on our laps in the patient's house, if you know the patient's not going to have a hard surface to write on, that you could use that. I don't know if everywhere you're allowed to. I guess different companies might have different rules, I guess. I don't know, but we could there. So I haven't at my current assignment, but I just wanted to share that because I thought that was an awesome idea for anyone doing home health. I never thought of that, and it wasn't that inconvenient, to be honest. But
does it fold out like a lawn chair?
Like a TV tray. There we go. TV tray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
that's really helpful.
I was thinking, they all did it there, but I was like, I think that's probably fine, but maybe I guess wash the bottom of it or what. I don't know.
You got all your other tools and stuff.
Exactly.
The home health bag.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything that we didn't talk about today that you wanted to tell the listeners?
Let's see. I'm just trying to think. Definitely don't be scared to do it. If you're thinking about it and you're, should I? You've been thinking about it, because I feel like there's so many people that are like, oh, I always thought about doing travel PT, and it's like for 3 years they've been thinking about it. If I guess the job you have isn't the only job in town or something, you know what I mean? Why not? It's 13 weeks. I think it's good to think about it. If you don't like it, the worst case scenario is you tried it and go back to doing something else. But I think it's definitely worth the experience, and especially if you haven't traveled a lot in your life, like this is a great opportunity to do it for sure. So,
and if it aligns with your why, or for getting out there and having those adventures, or maybe you're trying to build a business.
Yep.
I mean, obviously you're still traveling even after the whole pollen incident.
Yeah, I still took another contract even after that.
So. Thank you so much for the stories. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Listeners, if you are looking for the next episode of the New Medical Nomads podcast, you can follow them on the Facebook page, New Medical Nomads podcast, or if you have any questions for Dr. Kristen Schulz, you can contact her on the New Medical Nomads group. If you are listening to this, give us a like, give us a share. Any type of engagement is going to allow more people to see this, which is ultimately, we're trying to help people, so the more people we can help, the better, which is the whole reason that I'm doing this podcast. You can find us on YouTube and iTunes, and then you will get early access to the episodes as well. But thanks again, Kristen,
Thank you so much.
for
this was
joining.
fun.
Yeah, and we're going to go explore some of what Tampa has to offer. So everybody out there, have safe